ladies and gentlemen. My name is Zachary Shee, and I represent Team Affirmative in this debate. As I'm sure you are already aware, my opponent has resolved that free college should not be made available as an option for students, even those who could greatly benefit from it. I, the Affirmative, will prove that there are in fact benefits to the idea of free college, and that these benefits far outshine any liabilities. First, I want to talk about the American dream. You probably will have noticed that while the means by which people achieve the American dream may have changed or evolved over time, the goal has consistently remained the same. In the past, the American dream could be achieved by anyone who worked hard and diligently and constantly persevered. Nowadays, however, because of the condition of our economy, the distinction between the classes has grown so great, and the middle class has shrunk to such an extent that, essentially, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Even worse, the middle class, once considered the backbone of American society, is not staying stable. Nor is it increasing in wealth. The middle class of America is shrinking, and more people are reduced to living in poverty. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the most recently available census shows that in 2012, about 21.3% of Americans, or 52.2 million people, were living off government assistance programs, with a shocking 50% of applications coming from single mothers, who were struggling to raise their families on their own. It is not just the recent changes in America that has brought some to consider free college. The idea itself actually goes way back to the Founding Fathers, when Thomas Jefferson proposed that establishing, quote, free schools to teach reading, writing, and arithmetic, and from these schools, those of intellectual ability, regardless of background or economic status, would receive a college education paid for by the state. Although the idea was dismissed, at least with regards to college, the fact that 75% of elementary and high schools today are public shows that the idea was adopted to a certain extent. Because one of the main arguments against free college is that it is a socialist idea, there are a few terms I would like to define before presenting my arguments. First of all, the definition of socialism. According to both the Merriam-Webster and Oxford American dictionaries, socialism is the political or economic theory which advocates community control over the means of production and distribution of goods, rather than having them controlled by private business owners. Therefore, free education is only connected to socialism by the fact that the community assists in making education free for those who would benefit from it, and that it is regulated by the government. Second is the definition of free college. Now, while some wish to depict free college as a system where the upper class gets increased taxes in order to make college free for everyone, the definition of free college which I would like to propose is a state-by-state program which can either be donation-based or tax-based and would serve as a means of aiding college students for whom the cost of college is a significant burden. The percentage of students for whom the cost of college is a significant burden is a percentage which continues to escalate year by year, as many of our country's citizens find themselves driven closer and closer to poverty. At this point, I would like to discuss how free college can not only benefit students, but could also have a variety of long-term benefits for our country and economy as a whole. Probably the number one question which pops into people's heads when they hear free college is, why is it necessary? It is important to realize that our country's attitude towards college has changed. As late as the mid-20th century, high school was considered a sufficient education to get people through life and obtain a good job. As a result, the number of people who attended college was significantly low compared to today, making a college degree something that employers would obviously find beneficial but by no means expected. Nowadays, however, college is the new high school, and the majority of people have college degrees. This means that employers now take college degrees for granted and anticipate them rather than view them as unexpected bonuses. For this reason, free college could help millions of people who would otherwise be living on welfare on account of student debt to attend college and graduate without costing taxpayers billions of dollars yearly in welfare taxes. One should also consider the LoveHate Perspective on college which has recently emerged. Until very recently, a college education was considered something which benefited the whole country. While this is still true, the ridiculous costs of college nowadays can bring many to view it as a burden rather than a benefit. This causes many people to question how a thing that is supposed to be beneficial for all can also be an extremely heavy financial burden. Without the financial burden, more people will once again be able to see college's widespread merits and will be more likely to work harder in college. A perfect real-world example of free college in practice in the United States is Baruch College, a part of the City College of New York City. Founded in 1847, Baruch College was, quote, the very first public institution of higher education in the nation, end quote. Even more impressive, this college has produced such notable figures as Ralph Lauren, Upton Sinclair, Dennis J. Hickey, CFO of Colgate-Palmolive, and even Jonas Salk, the inventor of the polio vaccine. Additionally, 10 of their graduates have gone on to receive Nobel Prizes, a praiseworthy number no matter how famous or obscure the college. Another real-world example of the success of free college in places where the idea has been adopted is the free college system of Finland. Finland, which has offered free post-secondary college for the last 40 years, has some of the highest academic scores in the world, ranking 13th, 4th, and 5th out of 73 countries in the categories of math, reading, and science respectively. Unfortunately, the U.S. fell far behind, placing 40th, 24th, and 25th in the same categories, which is certainly food for thought. The final reason I would like to raise in support of free college is its similarity to our current school system, and how, with the state-by-state plan I have proposed, more options can be created for those who would not agree with the free college system run by the federal government. Many people who do not support the idea of free college might find their disapproval fueled by the belief that allowing free college would be socialist. However, as I have already shown with the definition of socialism, by making decisions regarding free education a state-by-state issue, people are given more ability to decide for themselves exactly what sort of education program they want in their state. For example, a state-by-state program, as opposed to one run by the federal government, would allow people to decide matters such as the means of paying the teachers at free colleges, whether that be through donations made by the community or through a statewide tax, which is similar to how property taxes pay for public schools. In this way, one could also see that a free college program would not be much different than the public elementary, middle, and high schools which have been available for decades. Our country appears to have allowed these levels of education to be free since, up until very recently, they were key components to a standard education. If, however, as I have already shown, college has essentially become the new high school, then shouldn't its necessity logically call for a free option, like with public primary and secondary education? However, as with any issue, there is always another side to the argument. Opponents of free education argue that it is unconstitutional, and say that it contradicts Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1 of our Constitution, which states, quote, "The Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imposts, and exercises, to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States. But all duties, imposts, and exercises shall be uniform throughout the United States." End quote. The two main grounds which are taken from this are that A. College has nothing to do with the general welfare of the United States, and B. The methods used to obtain the tax money which would allow college to be free would make taxation non-uniform. Another claim against free college is that it is unfair for Americans to have or pay for another's education. But the counter-arguments to this have already been addressed. First of all, Americans have already been supplying funds to allow the most necessary parts of education to be free for years. And since our country's standards now make college a necessity, and one which I have proven benefits the common good, it is in no way unconstitutional for a necessary part of education to be provided for free. Given that our country is essentially divided when it comes to the issue of free college, perhaps the circumstances of other countries who employ it are the best pieces of real-world evidence for illustrating its proven benefits. Some of the countries around the world which do provide free higher education include Finland, whose success has already been illustrated, Germany, France, Canada, Russia to a certain extent, and even Slovenia. Besides all of these countries enjoying the effect of the general benefits which I have already covered, Germany has begun to improve their economy by offering courses in English. This attracts many skilled people from the United States, who oftentimes remain in Germany after college, providing them with scores of skilled, well-educated people in their workforce, which will help make them competitive in international business. In addition, Slovenia, like Finland, enjoys very high and competitive school test scores, with a 2015 study of the PISA average scores showing that Slovenia placed 14th in math, 14th in reading, and 13th in sciences, with a study covering over 70 countries. Another benefit to free college is the ongoing problem in the U.S. which it could solve. According to a study done by Harvard University in 2014, although around 94% of Americans apply to and attend college, the sky-high costs, among other reasons, have contributed to such a large amount of students dropping out without a degree that the U.S. drop rate is one of the highest of all first world countries. As a result, a shocking number of people begin their careers without a college degree, but with a significant amount of student debt, meaning that many young people cannot afford to do things which would benefit their long-term career. With the option of free college, fewer students would drop out of college, meaning that they could start their careers debt-free and with a diploma, allowing them to finally engage in occupation assisting opportunities like internships. One of the reasons people in countries like Korea are so hardworking and dedicated to learning and education is because they have incentive. While it is true that paying for college teaches one financial responsibility, students who benefit from free college can learn powerful life lessons as well. For one thing, if they are reminded of who paid for their education, they will be just as likely to appreciate their education, since they will understand its true value, realizing that they would not have been able to attend or pay for it without going into serious debt or even going on welfare. In this way, especially if it is ensured that students truly understand and appreciate this, it is highly likely that they will value their education more, resulting in higher grades and more dedication to continue education beyond college. This, in turn, would result in a large amount of young people going into medicine, science, and law, all these jobs benefiting our country greatly. Although there will always be those who insist that free college is bad, one should not only consider the economic benefits, but also recognize that it can help the American dream to live on. Even though the means may continue to evolve over the years, we should always try to do what we can to ensure that the ends are still achievable to anyone. This is the beauty of the American dream, that you don't have to be rich or powerful to succeed. It has been part of what makes our country great. Ever since its founding, and as long as the dream survives, America can truly be a country dedicated to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thank you.